Yet your mock draft, you have him falling to 9. Why the discrepancy of how you view him compared to how GMs and scouts are viewing the Colorado QB?
Well, I think the arm strength, the fact he doesn't have the 6'4", 230-pound frame. He doesn't run a 4.6 40 mile. That's why people, I think, are a little bit tempered in terms of their enthusiasm on a guy like Shaduer Sanders. But in terms of grade, number 1 player on the board is Travis Hunter. Number 2 on my board is They're sitting there in your Cleveland and the Giants. You take the best players, and then you look for the quarterback maybe early in round 2, the way I had it worked out in this mock 4.0, with Tyler Shuck going to Cleveland, first pick in the second round, Jalen Milroe, quarterback Alabama, going to the Giants, second pick in round 2, which is why it never happened before in the common draft era, where quarterbacks were going 1, 2 in round 2. But in terms of Shedeur, I think for the Saints, it would be an ideal fit. Indoors, think about dome. Peyton Manning didn't have the strongest arm. Dome. Drew Brees didn't have the strongest arm, left the Chargers, go to the Saints, right? So to me, that would be the perfect spot. Atlanta's a dome, great weather in Carolina, Tampa Bay. So for Shaduer Sanders, new coach Kellen Moore, handpick your quarterback, Shaduer Sanders at 9.
I agree with you, Mel. We was talking about this last night on Nightcap, and I told Ocho the very same thing. He's indoors in New Orleans. Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta is indoors. You got great weather in Tampa. The only probably inclement weather. Now, you could get rain or something like that if you play late in the season in Tampa or Carolina. Sometimes it does get cold in Carolina. But I like this spot. You know, for me, RC, I've always said it's not how high you go, it's where you go. And who's going to be your coach and how they're going to build around you. Everybody look at what C.J. Stroud. Well, C.J. Stroud, look at what he had around him. He got a Nico Collins. He had a Dalton Schultz. He had a situation where the coaches, they put a nice system around him. They put weapons around him. Look at Jayden Daniels. You expect these quarterbacks to go in. There's a reason why they're picking number 1, number 2, and number 9. If they were really that good, they wouldn't be that high to be able to get a Shedeur or to get a Cam Ward or to get one of these top players. So it lets you know they're going to a team that wasn't very good the previous year. But I've always said this, the foundation, which is your quarterback, can do everything. If you have a rock-solid foundation, it can hold a 20,000 square foot home or it can hold a 1,000 square foot home. But the foundation is the quarterback. And I don't believe you can win because the days that the old Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens used to play defense and you run the football and you minimize your quarterback's opportunity to put you in harm's way, RC, you know those days are over. You better have a quarterback that can look down the barrel and deliver the football.
But that's the thing that we saw from Shaduer Sanders. He didn't play behind a great offensive line at Colorado. We had to see him so many times show his toughness. We had to see him so many times look at someone running down the barrel of the quarterback and deliver the football in between the numbers. And we watched him do it over and over and over again. And when you're talking about the ability to anticipate, Shaduer Sanders has that. The ability to understand and go through progression, Shaduer Sanders has that. And he can deliver the ball not only on time, but accurately. All of those things have always been so important to the quarterback position. But it seems with Shaduer Sanders, we're looking at these things, and maybe it's the charisma, maybe it's the personality, maybe it's the last name, maybe it's who his father is, but they're trying to compare all of that to his game. If you cut the film on and you block out all of the outside noise, he plays the position like the position is supposed to be played. All of these things that we've applauded by quarterbacks that have won tons of games in the NFL, Shaduer Sanders has those. And I think if any evaluator is looking at him from that perspective, taking away the fact that you don't have to run 4-5 to be a good quarterback. Can you escape? Can you maneuver in the pocket? I believe he can do that. Can you understand where your outlet is? He has done that. And so to me, Shaduer Sanders falling to 9 isn't an indication that he's not a really good quarterback. He's not a really good prospect. It's saying that Travis Hunter is a can't-miss prospect. Abdul Carter is a can't-miss prospect. Other teams don't need quarterbacks within the 4 to the 8 range, and the New Orleans Saints would be a great landing spot.
RC, let me ask you this, though. On Mel's big board, he has Shedeur as his best quarterback, right? So that's who he thinks most highly of. The mock draft is where he thinks players will be projected to go. If you're a GM, are you taking Shedeur or are you taking Cam?
I'm taking Cam Ward because you feel the ceiling is higher. And I think his arm is more lively. He has the ability to create a little bit more than we've seen Shaduer Sanders create. And we've also watched the guy in a Cam Ward go from a small school to Washington State, and then he plays at Miami last year in some of the bigger games against some of the better teams, and he showed out, and he showed how talented he truly was. But it is very close for me. I think there are going to be some things about Cam's film when you turn it on, and Mel knows this is ready, the way that he's broken him down. Some of the arm angles he can throw for, the way he threw the football on the move last season. Also, some of the clutch moments he has, like the Cal game where he had to come back on the road. It shows what he's made up from a leadership standpoint. I love all those things I mentioned about Shaduer Sanders, but it's a little bit of what you can't coach that I believe that Cam Ward has as to why the Tennessee Titans are going to draft him first overall.
Mel, to that you say what?
I get it, RC. RC, I get exactly what you're saying. I was so tempted the last 3 months to put Cam Ward at 1, but I love Shedeur. And I'm just going to stick with the guy. I'm old school, traditional. Shedeur is that guy. I really believe you can win that way. I pointed that out when Get Up this morning. Joe Burrow is doing it right now. Jared Goff's doing it right now. Tua's doing it now. This notion that they're dinosaurs like Johnny Unitas was great, right? Johnny Unitas, Peyton Manning couldn't play now. That's not true. Shaduer Sanders, to me, checks the boxes that are important. Now, he doesn't have ideal size. He doesn't have the great arm, and he's not going to run a 4.6. Now, if you want that guy, it's not Shaduer Sanders. I get that. And I understand RC's point, and what Shannon knows about all this, watching him, the live arm, the arm angles, the creativity. Shaduer Sanders doesn't have what Cam Ward has in that regard. But who played in NFL conditions? Who did it on a week-to-week basis? Shaduer Sanders did for 2 years at Colorado behind a horrible offensive line. He had the best completion percentage. He looked down at gun barrel and made those throws, those accurate throws. All the things that you need to deal with in the NFL, he's already dealt with. And I'll throw this in, the intangibles. When I saw that pro day, I didn't care about how he threw it. I watched and wanted to see, what did he say? And he said, the receivers. They were running the routes. I'm just throwing the ball. He said, I don't have to throw a 99-mile-an-hour fastball. I want to make it easier for my receivers. Peyton Manning, he always said, threw the most wobbly, catchable ball in NFL history. So you don't have to throw a tight spiral to be a great quarterback in the NFL all the time. So for Shaduer Sanders, yes, I get it. It was tempting not to put Cam. I like Cam. Shaduer's at 5, Cam's at 6. But I'm going to go down fighting on Shaduer Sanders.
I love that.
Shay?
My question was, when he led college football in completion percentage and he threw almost 40 touchdowns for over 4,000 yards, how tall was he? Because they make it seem like he shrunk all of a sudden, RC. Oh, how lively was his arm? Because all I know is somebody did that. Somebody threw for over 4,000 yards, somebody threw for almost 40 touchdowns, and somebody led college football in completion percentage. Now, I'm trying to figure out, what I try to figure out all the time, Mel, is how a guy that hadn't played football in almost 5 months, how he slides down the draft board. Look at the tape. Yes, if I see a guy and he plays really well on tape, Mel, I hope he goes to the combine. Because if he looks explosive on tape, I hope he runs fast, I hope he jumps high. And if something doesn't correlate, maybe I need to go back and look at the situation, ask his coaches, what was going on? Because when I watch him on tape and I watch him now, something seems a little off. Was he going through something? What's going on? All I know is this. His offensive